No, I mean, I'm still, it's not that many hours, um, you know, post game at this point. So, I'm still struggling with the results, of last night. So, um, I haven't gotten a chance to, talk to my wife and just kind of, step back emotionally from the end of the season. That's important to do, so that whatever's next, um, there has to be a separation from, the end of the season and what just happened, and then go from there. So, I can't say anything different than what I told you guys last night about what's next for me. There's a proper way to do it, which definitely starts with accepting what happened last night, and then, having some discussions, privately as a family, and then, having discussions with, the appropriate people depending on what that decision is.
You sound like your heart's still in it. You still want to play.
Well, I mean, if you watched the game last night, my heart is definitely still in it. There's no question about that. But I'm also very realistic about knowing I can't do this forever, even if I'm physically capable of still doing it. And, I feel like doing it, at a level that can help a team, and this team in particular, that doesn't necessarily mean, the space is there for that. The game changes, teams change, teams need and want certain things on their roster. And so, we obviously have a lot of question marks here in terms of what's the team going to look like going forward, who's staying, who's not. Maybe I don't fit into that. But, so it's definitely not overnight all of a sudden I'm not a player anymore. But at the same time, for years I've obviously thought about one day I won't be able to play. And, there'll be there'll be something next, and maybe that time is here.
What intrigues you about, I'm sure you've thought about it a lot, and Phil said he spoke to you the last couple of years after the season about your future. What intrigues you about actually being a coach?
Well, I think I've always, I mean, maybe not always, but in I'd say the last, maybe decade or so, really felt like my purpose in life, or like my calling, so to speak, was, was to be in a leadership position, or some position of impact on other people. I didn't know if that would be philanthropic or community standpoint, in business and management, obviously continuing to play, but that I'd somehow been blessed and gifted enough to be able to positively impact other people, and so I didn't know what that would look like, and how that vision would kind of come to life, but coaching allows for you to positively impact other people's lives, to help a group of people find success that, whether they have or haven't before, you're all working together for a common goal. And that's what I've loved doing for, 33 years as a player, when I first played my first organized game of basketball at the age of 6. And so, there's a love for helping other people that exists for me, and not playing anymore, if that's what it's to be, coaching and being in the front office, or being in a role where you can positively impact others and work together to reach a common goal, that's exciting to me.
You don't always get to choose things in your life, and timing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you speak to just sort of how this decision is maybe another layer has been added to it, just because of the opportunity to work with Phil has come up, and then the team that you've spent so much of your career with, the Lakers, they have an opening too, and just how the you pass these opportunities up, and who knows when they might avail themselves again.
Yeah, no, it's surreal to think about, for sure. I always envisioned, finishing up as a player at whatever point, and then, you take a step back, you go, on a sabbatical for a year or two, you go home and become, the best at-home dad you could be for a while, and then you make some decisions about what you want to do next. But that's not the way, the world works these days. That's changed, I think, in business and sports and life. And so much of life is timing and opportunity and being able to take advantage of the right opportunities in the right situations at the right time. It's always been that way as a player. You get drafted to the right team at the right time, or you sign as a free agent on the right team at the right time. It makes all the difference in the world. So there's for sure, huge layers added to the personal relationship and the professional relationship I've had with Phil Jackson over the years, and being in the position that he's in. And then, like you said, also, with the Lakers having an opening, it for sure adds layers to it. But I think just like any important decisions in life, you can't necessarily be driven completely by what's going on externally. You have to have an internal set of boundaries and just kind of a compass that you make decisions by. And so I'll combine all those things, as I try and make the best decision possible.
I know last night's still probably a little raw, but do you have any thoughts or kind of an assessment of where this team grew throughout this season and maybe some opportunities for growth moving forward with this core?
Yeah, I mean, I know all teams, face injuries, hardships, challenges. But if there's anything that we learned and that we grew from this past season, is confronting those and dealing with those and facing them. Not always perfectly, but having an all-NBA player in and out of the lineup for most of the season, to have the injuries, which were very, very understated and underrated, to Kendrick Perkins and Thabo Sefolosha down the stretch of the regular season. The injury, the surge, the 4 or 5 straight playoff games in the first round, the Clippers series and all that revolved around it and what was going on with that team, and the adversity in this last series. There was a lot of resilience shown, and a lot of character and a lot more mental toughness than I think what even some of our own group thought we had, but still not enough. And so, at the end of the day, it's a results-oriented business. And, in the NBA, the number one result is winning the championship, and that's not what we got done. But you can't walk away from it thinking you completely failed. Not very many teams that were able to do what we were able to do. We were one of 3 teams left to have a chance to win a championship. 27 other teams that wish they had that chance. So the toughest distance to make up is that little bit there at the end, and whatever happens going forward, we have to just figure that out, figure out a way to get those last inches.
What do you need to get that last little bit? What's the missing ingredient for this team?
I wish I could, sum it up in a simple way. I think it's a combination of, just continued maturity and growth for our players. The expectation levels are extremely high for a group of guys that are still collectively really young. Obviously, my age, bumps up the team average a little bit. but it's still a really, really young team, to be honest. Kevin and Russell are in their 6th and 7th seasons, but 24 and 25 years old, and so I think growth, maturity, a continued understanding of how much sacrifice it really does take to be the absolute best. That's something that you can't put that in someone else. There really has to be an experience. There has to be a turning point, a defining moment that lights a fire in an individual and in a group that says, I won't accept anything less than being the best. And I think, in recent years, this group has experienced it more than any other group in basketball, to be honest, in the last 4 years with, 2 trips to the Western Conference Finals, a trip to the NBA Finals, and a year where Russell Westbrook gets hurt and didn't even have a chance to do it again. So in comparison to the Miami Heat, who've gone to 4 straight NBA Finals and won 2 championships, and in comparison to the San Antonio Spurs, who've been one of the most consistent and well-run basketball teams and organizations in the last 15 or 20 years, nobody else is in that class or even close to it but this team, where this is the team that is scratching on the surface of the best in all of basketball in recent years and in the history of the game. So not as far off as it seems in terms of how bad it hurts, but to get across that finish line it's a long stride there at the end. And but this group, they have it, they want it, and you just have to do it though. And there's no shortcuts, and there's no group of guys that want to experience it more than this group though. That's for me. If this is it for me, that'll be the saddest part, is that one day this team's gonna have a championship trophy, and if I'm there, great. If I'm not, I'm still gonna be just as happy, because they all deserve it, man. We're talking about not just some of the best basketball players in the world, but some of the best people in the world, some of the best young men in the world, and it's been a pleasure to play basketball with these guys.
Derek, you spent a lot of time in New York City, with the union during the lockout, and your daughter would make trips.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of New York City? I mean, living there, and what's your impression, just having spent a lot of time as your head?
No, it grew on me more so during my time there during collective bargaining, and how much time I had to spend in the city. It grew on me. I mean, it's a great city, one of the greatest cities in the world. Pretty big city, I'm from Little Rock. The first time I went to New York as a rookie, I locked myself in my hotel room because I was afraid of what was going to happen to me if I, went out on the streets in New York, being a kid from Little Rock. But, Oklahoma City's a great city. So, there's a lot to do everywhere, but no, New York's a great city, hard-working city. I don't know if there's a tougher city in terms of what, the city's experienced. Very similar to Oklahoma City in that regard, where you have a community and a group of people that have experiences with each other that don't exist in other cities. So that would be my answer for now.
Will you just,
Go ahead.
sorry, will you just describe what this postseason was like for you players? Is this one of the more crazy or mentally taxing postseasons you've been a part of? Just the highs, the lows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe for me, the highs and lows were extremely taxing because, it seemed like every week it could be possibly my last week playing basketball. We would go from, up 1-0 to down 2-1 to tied at 2-2 to down 3-2 to overtime to the season's over to you got another 2 weeks to man, we're not gonna win the championship again to we got a chance to win the championship again. And so that, for sure for me personally, which, I don't know what other guys have been able to express, but, it was heavy, to just continue to battle to stay in the moment and not think about, what if this is it and if this is the last chance, and trying not to place that burden on the group, and think of myself before them. So it was definitely an emotional roller coaster, but they all are, to be honest. Even the ones that have ended in championship success, they've all been filled with moments where it looked like, maybe it's not going to happen. It's only one, in 2001, that's the only year I can think of where nobody else had a chance to beat us. But the rest of the years, there were times in rounds where, maybe we were going to lose. But yeah, this one was different because for me it was possibly the last chance at it. So I just never wanted it to end. Still feel that way now, and we'll see what happens. But like I tried to say last night, and I've tried to say to Scotty and to Sam today, that if that was it, I'm beyond thankful that it was here, and it was with these group of guys and this people and this community, because after getting traded from the Lakers, I was spinning. I didn't know what would be left in terms of basketball, whether or not I have another chance to play for a championship and be around a group of guys I enjoy being around, and just thankful that it was here, and took me in when a lot of other people didn't think I had much left, and hopefully I was able to be a positive and leave something behind, and just thank you to everybody. I know some of you guys loved me, some of you didn't. But I'm thankful for that as well, because it's just all serves as motivation, and you guys have a job to do, and do it to the best of your ability. But I'm telling you, man, I've been in some other places and on some other teams, and the group of players you guys have the pleasure of seeing every day and working with every day it's a really good thing. It's not like this everywhere. It's really not. And so thank you to you guys as well, just for the time spent, and for the couple positive words. I appreciate that, and wish the best to all of you. If I don't if I don't see you again, wish you all the best, to you and your families and everything. This part of it has been a pleasure as well. This comes with the job, and having to answer the tough questions, and find the right things to say even when it's the wrong time. It's a challenge, but it's a part of the job. It's a part of being professional, and you guys have helped me and helped to shape who I am, as a player and as a person, because this comes with the territory. When we sign the contract, this comes with it, and whatever's next for me, I'm better prepared for it, because of the bright lights that you guys have always kept me and kept these guys under, and so thank you.
Thanks, Scott.